Well, as we're coming out of the Omicron variant, for the most part, numbers are going down. Let's talk to Outkick founder Clay Travis. Clay, good morning to you down there in Nashville. What do you make of the war of words we've heard over the last number of months, over a year, aimed at Florida and Ron DeSantis? And as it turns out, Americans are voting with their feet. They're going to Florida.
Amen. Ron DeSantis was right. If the rest of the country had done everything that Ron DeSantis said and did in Florida, we'd be in a much better place. Remember, we're still millions of jobs away from where we were in February before COVID restrictions and pandemic response began. And to your point, Steve, people are voting with their feet. It's not only that Florida is setting all-time tourism records, it's that they are overwhelmingly experiencing growth, and much of that growth is coming from New York, from California, from Illinois, from states with the most restrictive COVID policies.
Sure.
If people were really afraid of what Florida was doing, why would they overwhelmingly be moving there? People are, with their own actions, reflecting that they support the actions taken by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Florida continues to set all-time records in tourism. And by the way, do you know where everybody who has been criticizing Ron DeSantis
right.
in the mainstream media goes for vacation?
Of course.
To Florida,
Sure.
including right now Chris Cuomo, who is on vacation in Florida after CNN has been teeing off on DeSantis, AOC. The list goes on and on.
You know, and the thing is, when you look at the truckers up in Canada, and they are having a peaceful protest talking about they don't like the restrictions. And there are people, I'm sitting in New York City, there are a lot of people who don't like the restrictions here. I spent this last weekend in Florida. It's not like, you know, they don't have the restrictions there, but at the same time, people aren't just walking around willy-nilly. I'd say half the people in the stores are still wearing the masks, and they're still being careful. So it's like, when you give people the information to make wise decisions, they can decide for themselves.
Well, I think that's such a good point, and it's why I've been anti-mask mandate for kids in schools for a long time now. I'm not anti-kids wearing masks in schools if parents want their kids to wear masks.
Exactly.
I'm anti it being mandated. Same thing with the vaccine, and I think to your point, Ron DeSantis has called Florida an oasis of freedom, and thank God for federalism, Steve, because if we hadn't had it, then I think we may have ended up more like Canada or more like Australia if we hadn't allowed every governor the ability to look, and many mayors, to be fair as well, to look at what the situation is on the ground and analyze risk factors and what makes sense for their people, as opposed to one overall one-size-fits-all federal response, which may well have turned us into Canada or Australia.
Yeah. I know during the pandemic you've talked about your children. You live now in the Nashville area. I'm sure you've seen the story about Jennifer Say. She was a brand manager, or rather the brand president at Levi, and that is situated out in California. But she moved her family to Colorado so that, because she wanted her kids not to be living under the mask mandates there. She was on with Tucker last night. She was offered $1 million to just shut up talking about it. She wouldn't take the money. Here she is last night.
This whole thing has sort of culminated in really being about the silencing of dissent.
Yes.
And really not being allowed to hold a viewpoint that is outside, whatever the mainstream narrative is, the orthodoxy. To agree to stay silent at the last minute because of money just felt so unacceptable and just gross to me, and in violation of everything I said I stood for.
And she was simply saying the things that parents across this country are saying, but given her corporate job, her corporate overlords were like, you gotta shut up.
No doubt, and good for her for being willing to choose principle over profit and say what was important to her and her family. And by the way, I don't know if you guys have talked about this yet on the show, but even San Francisco has rejected the heavy-handed left-wing nature of totalitarian insanity that seems to have rained down upon many big blue cities with the school board. Did you see the absolute evisceration of those school board members who had wanted to change all the schools' names? And even the mayor of San Francisco herself said, hey, I hate that the kids are in mass. They need to be back in school and they need to be back normally. The tide has turned quickly. I expect by March 1st, when Joe Biden does his State of the Union address, that suddenly there's going to be an awful lot of Democrats running scared over people like Jennifer who are willing to stand up, and over the vast numbers of moms and dads that have joined them in what I would call the parent revolution sweeping across this country.
Trey, I'm too lazy, Clay, to look at my phone. What's clicking right now on Outkick?
That's a good question. Well, speaking of the issues that are going on, we got a teachers union member in LA who's been arguing it's unsafe for kids to be back in schools without masks, who went to the Rams 49ers game in the NFC Championship game, posted all sorts of videos of himself without a mask on, and it ain't helping his argument against masks in schools in California. Lots of parents furious.
No kidding. Check it out at outkick.com. Clay, thank you very much for joining us today.
Hey, I appreciate it, Steve. Y'all have a great morning.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.